Thank you, Senator Murkowski. You will be happy to hear that there are some changes coming on this planet that I think are going to be incredibly significant. And Dr. Wagner, others may want to talk about this a bit, but we're going to turn the switch on the SMR very soon, the small modular reactor, which is really a milestone and a change in the way that energy is going to be delivered on this planet. But not long behind that is going to be a microreactor. Now, that may be of interest to some of your outback places, and we don't have an exact date, do we yet, Dr. Wagner, on that? Would you care to make a prediction on when we turn the switch on the first micro?
So we do anticipate achieving 3 criticalities in systems that would be characterized as microreactors by July 4th.
There you go.
Of this year. I would like to clarify that those won't be power reactors that could immediately be deployed in Alaska, but going critical is the first step in that pathway.
But it doesn't take an imagination to realize what that's going to do to the delivery of power, not just in the United States, but on the entire planet. And again, the SMR is a huge step, but the micro is going to be even larger than that. Incredibly important hearing that we're having here today. Because there aren't that many people here, don't take that to mean there isn't interest. We got lots of stuff going on this morning. It's getting towards the end of the week, so there is a lot of interest in this. I think most Americans aren't fully dialed in with the fact of the renaissance that nuclear is having in the United States, and for that matter, even more so, I think, on the planet. We had the unfortunate incident in 3 Mile Island, which sent us a generation back because people were afraid of it, even though no one got injured or killed. It scared people, and the result of that was we really lost a generation. That's getting behind us very quickly right now for a number of different reasons. Number one, I think the industry has had such a safe history since then that people realized that they overreacted to the 3 Mile Island. But then, secondly, we've got a demand on this planet that is staggering, really. First of all, you have a war that started on a continent that really changed the way that the European continent is gathering energy. And it isn't going to be from Russia now, it's not going to be from Russia tomorrow, and it's going to be a long time before anybody looks back to Russia. Indeed, by the time they look back there, the type of energy that they want to sell is probably going to be not that much used anymore. Then the next thing is we're getting these huge estimates as to the kind of energy we're going to need because of AI. Now, I don't understand that. I know probably you guys do, but I don't understand how AI consumes that kind of electricity, but it is staggering what it is going to do to the demand for electricity here in the United States, and for that matter, around the world. So with that, we're proud in Idaho to host the INL. Dr. Wagner does a great job there. We have a long, proud history. I brag all the time that 1951, we generated the first electricity by nuclear power there. We still have the first 3 light bulbs, I think, that are in the museum there that we lit in December of 1951. And we built 52 reactors since then. And Idaho is proud to host the flagship lab in the world, really, on nuclear energy. As we go forward, there's all the different aspects of this that are going to need attention, and they are going to start at the INL. Fuel certainly is, Dr. Wagner, something that you pointed to. Again, the war has changed dramatically where we are. That whole industry had shifted to Russia. We're bringing it back, and Senator Barrasso was certainly a leader on this, and with others of us who understood that we have got to be able to produce our own fuel and distribute it. So with that, I do want to talk about the most recent thing that I and others have done with your help, and that is on the financial risks that are involved when you have new technology coming down the pike. We all know that with nuclear power, there are risks that are different and essentially higher than in other industries. And as we all know, in a free market system like we have in America, that the investors are risk adverse. So they want the least risk possible. Now, we, the United States government, way back when, waded into that when we talked about guaranteed loans and that sort of thing. And it was really the only thing that could move us forward because the investors were reluctant. But now with the new technology, we have another risk, and that is cost overruns, because you're dealing with something you haven't tried before, and when you try it and it doesn't work, it's very, very expensive. So we've developed the ARC Act. And I think all three of you are probably familiar with the ARC Act. And since you're from Idaho, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Wagner, and tell me your thoughts on the ARC Act and what benefit you think it'll have for the industry.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for the kind words and the strong support that we've received from you, Senator. It's wonderful, so appreciate that very much. As you've put your finger on, a cost overrun risk is really the most significant barrier to a utility investment in a first-of-kind technology period, but in particularly a commercial nuclear reactor. The tale of Vogtle, which I now think is a major success in terms of demonstrating that system and that we were able to build it. But going from an estimated $14 billion to over $30 billion is not anything any utility executive wants to experience, I'm sure, or their board that they work for, or their public utility commission.
Or their customers.
Or their customers, exactly. And so that's in my opinion, the most significant thing that holds back utilities and others from building new, large nuclear power plants. And of course, we're not going to drive down the cost curve, which we think we absolutely can do, and we have confidence in that, until somebody does the first one and the second one and the third one. And so while I'm not a financial expert in terms of the right mechanisms, it is that cost overrun risk that we routinely hear as the most significant impediment, and that's, of course, what your ARC Act addresses. So appreciate your leadership on that.
Mr. Secretary.
Well, overruns are the one issue that we need to really resolve, and we appreciate your efforts to look at legislative fixes to that, and so thank you for doing that. The utilities are all reluctant to be the first ones to actually order a reactor, because they know with the potential for overruns, a negative reaction on the funding could result in a stock price problem for them. And so what we've got to do is figure out a way to incentivize the utilities and the manufacturers and the constructors, incentivize on budget and low cost arrangements. Right now, there is little incentive for them necessarily to do this. And the problem is repeatability. We will get there. The question is, how do we do that in a fashion that doesn't take so long to so many different units have to be produced before we are at that point. So your efforts and the efforts by the Congress, I think, are very important here. And we will look for ways to do that in the department, and look forward to working with you on that.
Appreciate that. The other thing that's just struck me in recent years, and I've been here doing this a while, is the new actors that are entering the industry because of the advances we've made, the SMR that obviously, and the micro that are coming down the pike. There's a lot of people want a piece of that, and there are risk takers who are entering, and there's a constant stream of them into my office. We've never had that over the years I've been doing that. So, yeah, I'm going there next. Doctor, you're up. Thank you.
Senator, thank you for the question and for your work on the ARC Act. I think that the ARC Act addresses a really key gap which private investment has struggles with, particularly for early fleet deployment. I would say one thing which I think is important. When I look at the structure of different federal investments and programs, I think that the incentives are really important to make sure that they're fully aligned with the commercial goals of where we need to take for industry. And particularly, not just delivering the projects with cost certainty, but being able to have the right incentive to drive down cost. And so particularly when we look at the cost risks for early deployments for the fleet, making sure that there's flexibility to allow the time to find those opportunities is very important. So I think that the support here and making sure that those risks are protected against, but also making sure that they're aligned so that the inherent risk in early projects doesn't end up, you don't end up with too much contingency, because if you have a lot of contingency on the costs, you may hit your cost targets, but your cost targets may be still too high. And so making sure that all of the programs work together to allow demonstration to be done with focused and excellent execution is really key, and just making sure that those policies are self-consistent. I think that's completely possible, and the ARC Act can play a very important role in that process.
Thank you. I think that's an important observation. I'm going to close here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, in the other hat I wear as chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, I have a constant parade of people from other countries who are excited about nuclear, and they're out shopping. We do the best to be a salesman for U.S. Technology. We compete with the Russians, the Chinese, and the French, as everybody knows, and we the Russians and the Chinese are voracious competitors because they don't have a capitalist system like we do. All of the capital in the country is controlled by the government, and they don't have the same risk aversion that private sector does. So it's a heavy lift, but I can tell you this: the reputation of the U.S. nuclear industry is not lost on the world. They want to do business with us first, but on the other hand, the siren of a cheaper product often drives them away. With that,